Hello, everybody. I'm so glad you're with me tonight and looking forward to talking to you about non-performing notes. I hope you're enjoying this week after the long holiday. It's hard to get back into the swing of things, I know. But I thank you all for being on. And this is going to be an interesting webinar because I'm probably going to say some things that might step on some people's toes, but it is what it is, and it's my opinion, and right or wrong, it's my opinion. So Matthew, you want to go ahead and start the PowerPoint?
All right, let's get it up here. One sec. Lost here. Where you go? Oh, there it is. All right, gonna share your screen. All right, you're good.
Hey, we're back in business. Okay, thank you, Matthew. Okay, tonight I want to talk about non-performing notes. And I think by now, if you've been tuned in with me, you realize that although I have done a ton of non-performing notes over the years, they're not my favorite thing. And they're not my favorite thing because you just can't make as much money on, well, that's not true. They take too much time and trouble for the money that you make. You can make a whole lot more money in today's market, okay? In today's market, you can make a lot more money on the performing notes. And I like the idea that I don't have to deal with the headaches of the non-performing notes. It takes a special person to work with non-performing notes, especially whether you're dealing with the property itself and the headaches that go along with that, or whether you're dealing with distressed homeowners. And I did non-performing notes, oh my gosh. We really focused quite a bit on them for a good 5 years or more. And at that point, I had a big staff at the office, and we would run a pipeline of 50 deals. And I was really pushing people, the banks, to sell the note, because back then it was very common to do short sales. And so I was a big proponent of telling people to, use the short sale as a means to get into the bank and to talk to the loss mitigation officer. And then once you get in there, say, hey, wouldn't you rather sell the note? And so some of you that have been with me for a while, you'll remember I used to have the course Note Buying, the ultimate short sale. Remember that? And so that was all well and good until what happened was the banks just got so crazy with the rules and regulations, and you didn't know from 1 week to the next what they wanted. Their game plan completely changed. And then also the laws changed. Dodd-Frank came around, and SAFE Act back then and all of that. And then needless to say, the market changed. The fact is that there just are not as many non-performing notes nowadays as there was right after the downturn, obviously. And to make matters worse, a ton of new people got into the market back then. And then as the inventory started drying up, now they're all fighting over a much smaller inventory. And so I just, while they're fighting over that, I'm making money hand over fist on the performing notes, and I'm loving it, So please don't get me wrong. I've been doing non-performing notes since 1990. When the first year I got into notes, I started buying some non-performing notes as well. And they will always be around because, after all, people do go into default. But I think that you're only kidding yourself if you think that you're going to have the opportunities that we had 10 years ago. It's just not there. Nonetheless, I'm going to talk about non-performing notes tonight because you may have a very good source for non-performing notes. And that's the key. If you have a good source, then you can really get some sweet deals on the non-performing notes. So please don't let my personal opinions sway you too much, okay? Anyway, so the deal is that The small community banks will usually sell their non-performing notes, okay? The larger banks, they will not do it, because what they do is they package theirs up. They sell their notes in huge pools to large hedge funds. And then those hedge funds sell it to smaller hedge funds, who sell it to asset protection company or asset management companies, and they sell them to the mom and pops and on down the food chain, until eventually you get someone who will allow you to cherry pick. But if you target the community banks, you have a much better chance of being direct. So where do you find them? By being direct to the community banks. Your best deals definitely come when you have direct contact to the note seller. Okay, the more people that are in between you, the less chance you're going to get a good deal. And so my favorite source, if today I just set my mind that I'm going to go buy some non-performing notes, I'd start smiling and dialing, because that's how I know that I could get some non-performing notes. And what you do is you just call or email or get on LinkedIn. That's a great source. And you want to contact these smaller community banks or credit unions and let them know that you are a local investor, and ask them if they have any dogs on their books, anything they want to get rid of, and just let them know that you're in that market. And you will be amazed, especially if you catch them at the right time, like at the end of the year when they're trying to get things off their books, or at the end of the quarter when they're trying to clean up for the next quarter, all of that kind of stuff. So that's where I would go to look for a direct source of the non-performing notes. And of course, some of you may have contacts. Your neighbor could be a vice president of a bank, or something like that, and that's a perfect opportunity for you if you can get with them, because the thing is, it's all about networking and building relationships. And that's one of the cool things about the social networking and LinkedIn. It was really funny, because when we used to try to call the bank, we couldn't get through to the right person. Then LinkedIn came around, and it was funny that loss mitigation officers who would not take a phone call, if you contacted them through LinkedIn, they would respond to your message right away. So LinkedIn can be a great source as well, okay? So that I will leave that up to you, what you want to do. But you definitely want to get direct to whoever is selling the non-performing notes. Now, there's an important thing that you need to know when you're dealing with the non-performing notes, especially if you're buying a pool of notes. The privacy laws prevent you from contacting the homeowner ahead of time. So if you're dealing with a bank, you can't call up the borrower and just start talking to him, say, hey, I'm just checking to see if you're in the house and do you want to stay? And, I'm thinking of buying the note. And, I thought maybe, if you want to leave, maybe you want to give me a deed in lieu and I'll let you off the hook on the foreclosure. You cannot do that. Not if you are acquiring that note direct from the bank. Not if you have contacted the bank or a hedge fund and they've given you a list of non-performing notes to choose from, and you decide you're going to go after them. You cannot contact the homeowner. You have to do all of your due diligence without contacting them, which means you have no idea. You might plan on buying that note, and maybe you want to get the property, or maybe you plan on doing a workout with the borrower, and you buy the note, and then you only to find out that the borrower's long gone. And so there is a very distinct disadvantage to that. Well, there is another way that I used for years when we were really rocking and rolling with the short sales and the non-performing notes. And we were able, we did some really, really sweet deals. And the thing is that this technique, it does take more time, but it gives you such an advantage over everybody else. And that is that you want to use the homeowner as a backdoor to getting to the banker. See, what most people do is they go to the bank, they find the non-performing notes, And then after they buy it, they contact the homeowner. But if you were to market for the homeowner first, and now you're in communication with the homeowner, and the way that works is that they can give you an authorization, so then you call the bank on their behalf. And now everything is different, because now you're already working with the homeowner. So you know if they want to stay, you already know the condition of the property. I mean, you're just light years ahead of everyone else who's pretty much operating in the dark. So the first step, what I have that is a really powerful letter it's what I call my From the Heart letter. And people have just raved about the responses that they get from this. And it basically says something to the effect of, I understand that you're behind on your mortgage payments, and, many people are, and I can't guarantee anything, but there's a possibility that I might be able to help you. Give me a call and I'll see what I can do for you. And so what you're offering them is a free, no obligation alternative to a short sale. You get their authorization to release information, then you start by calling the loss mitigation officer, okay? And that's who handles the short sales. But you quickly ask, hey, do you ever sell the note? And if not, is there somebody in your department or maybe in another department that would sell the note? And see if they can point you in the right direction, okay? And you'll find that From the Heart letter in your library of forms, in your online library of forms, okay? So that is a great way to find the non-performing notes. I do want to mention one thing though. When you're doing your marketing on those, let me back up here. When you're doing your marketing, you want to, when you get your list to send out your letters, you want to try to identify the smaller community banks, because going in that the larger banks are not going to sell you the note, okay? So you'd be wasting a lot of money if you just sent it blanketly to everybody. So try to find the smaller banks to begin with. And, excuse me. It would also be a really good idea if you found a realtor who specialized in short sales, who, let's say you were talking to the bank and the bank said that, no, they'll only do a short sale. I am not a proponent of you learning how to do short sales. Bless the people who are still in the short sale business. I don't want to go there again. But there's no reason you can't find someone who specializes in it. And typically that's going to be a realtor. And a lot of the banks actually have specific realtors that they deal with, and they give all of their non-performing notes, their listings, to those realtors. But if you can tie into those people, and if you get a deal where the loss mitigation officer just says, hey, it's got to be a short sale, have them pay you a $1,000 referral fee if they close the deal, and let them do the short sale, okay? So that technique is a little bit more trouble than just smiling and dialing, but it does get you in the door, and it does give you a lot of advantage to making really wise decisions and to being able to really help the homeowner. Okay, so how can you make money with non-performing notes? Well, first of all, a lot of people use the non-performing notes as a backdoor to getting the property. If you are looking to build a portfolio of properties, I don't know of a better way for you to get properties at the lowest possible prices. So if you buy a non-performing note, you're going to use that as leverage. And what you do is, once you become the bank and you're holding this non-performing note, you have the option that you can either complete the foreclosure, or you can negotiate with the homeowner and have them give you a deed in lieu of foreclosure. And so that way you don't even have to go through the time, expense, or the trouble of doing the foreclosure. So if you buy these non-performing notes, it really will allow you to acquire the property for pennies on the dollar. Now, this is a deal that one of my students did, and this is a really sweet deal, and there's several lessons in this. Man, I wish I could do one of these a year. Let me tell you about it. This was Jim Steele, and he had spotted this 14,000 square foot office and warehouse that was for sale, and he saw that it had, based on square footage, it had a potential fair market value of $784,000, but it was only listed for $599,000, and he noticed that the price kept getting reduced until it was down to $199. And he's thinking, why in the heck is this not selling? And so he did his homework on it, and he discovered it was a major nightmare. It turned out that there were all kinds of liens on the property. There's $150,000 of federal and state tax liens. There was $190,000 non-performing first mortgage. There were mechanic liens, utility liens. It needed some repairs. The owner was in bankruptcy and going through a very nasty divorce. And there were $45,000 in property taxes that had been sold at the county auction, and the owner did not redeem them by the deadline. So these are major issues. Now, what I want you to see here is, if you were looking for a property and you found this, what would you do? Most people I know would go, oh, that's a can of worms. I don't think I want to deal with that. Well, the truth is, it may be a can of worms, but if you take the time to do it, a lot of times those cans of worms can be major profit centers. So Jim looks at this, and so it had $190,000 defaulted first. He offers the bank $1,500. I could not believe it. I about died when he told me that. I thought, man, you've got nerve, okay? Well, needless to say, the bank declined. So he's not going to give up. So he goes back, and this time he offers $15,000. Still quite a bit less than the $190,000 that is owed. But guess what? The bank agreed. Why do you think they agreed? Personally, I think it probably covered their attorney fees, and they were probably concerned that whoever bought that the property tax lien is probably going to record the deed and take over, and they didn't want to deal with that. But whatever the reason, the bank agreed, and so Jim gets it all locked up with a note purchase agreement. And before he closes, he has his attorney investigate the tax deed situation. And you won't believe it, but they discover that the tax buyer had failed to file the tax deed before the within the statutory period. And so his tax deed was no good. Okay, so that whole situation now becomes a moot point. Isn't that awesome? Now, that's not going to happen all the time, but the point is, unless you get into it and shack, you'll never know. So Jim verifies that all the other liens are going to be wiped out. And the truth is that with that federal tax lien, that doesn't really get wiped out. But when I owned the title company, a lot of times my title officer would call, and the IRS would move the tax lien to another property. Or I don't remember off the top of my head, I want to say it's 4 months that they have to redeem that. But if as long as you don't sell the property, you sit and wait it out, and then it goes away. And they never redeem it. I mean, that's not what they're in. I shouldn't say never. I've never known them to redeem it, okay? So the bottom line is that the tax lien is not a problem, okay? So Jim goes ahead and he buys the note, and he contacts the owner. The owner is very happy to talk to Jim, takes him all through the place, says he just wants out, and even offers to help him with the foreclosure, whatever he can do. So it wound up that Jim foreclosed, and he gets a $784,000 property for $15,000, which he paid the bank, and $4,000 in attorney fees. So for $19,000, he has the opportunity, when it's all leased up, to make $77,000 a year for life. Isn't that a sweet deal? For $19,000. And like I said, two keys here, two key points. One is the value and the opportunities that exist when you buy a non-performing note and use it to control the property and as a backdoor to getting the property, I mean, you can make a lot of money, okay? But the other thing, like I said, is check out those deals that look like a can of worms, because a lot of times you have no competition. And if you can sort through all of the mess, a lot of times there's a real deal there. Okay. So I thought that was a great deal for Jim. Okay, so that's one way that you can make money with non-performing notes if you want to get the property. Now, another way is to flip the non-performing note for quick cash. So you buy the defaulted note from a bank, and you could just wholesale that to an investor for a quick $10,000 profit, and you never even own the property. This, by far, is the fastest, easiest, safest way to make money with non-performing notes. It doesn't get any better than this. So if you happen to have a source for some good non-performing notes, but yet you really aren't into dealing with the properties and going through the hassle of negotiating with the homeowners and all that kind of stuff, consider getting it under contract and flipping it to someone who actively wants to work that note, because you can make quick money on that, because most people don't have a good source. Okay. So this, if you are new to real estate or new to notes and you're determined to get into the non-performing note arena, this is how I would recommend that you get started. Get a non-performing note under contract and just flip it to another investor. Get used to working with the banks, get used to the verbiage and everything, and see how it works, and then think about if you want to hold it for yourself. Now, if you are ready to really jump in with both feet, so to speak, what you could do is you could buy this note, and instead of flipping it, you could modify it. Okay? Modify it before you flip it, and you can literally double your profit on it. So let me show you how this works. Let's say you want monthly cash flow. Okay, you buy this non-performing note, and you use my forbearance agreement to keep the homeowner in the house. A forbearance agreement just says that you won't continue with the foreclosure, and that you will you work out like a modification, and you sit down with the homeowner and figure out what they're able to do, and you basically restructure the note, and you keep them in the house, and you use a forbearance and or a modification agreement. And this enables you to make really, really high rates of return on your money. So what you could do is, let's say, for example, that you have this $115,000 non-performing note, and let's say you could buy that for $40,000, okay? I would rewrite the note. I am assuming here that the house is only worth $100,000, and I don't like to keep a homeowner in a property that's upside down. So if $100,000 is the fair market value of the property, I am going to forgive anything over $100,000. Now, I do it very wisely. I don't just write it off, but what I do is in my forbearance agreement, I let them know that if they pay as agreed, that when they're ready to pay off the note, I will accept $15,000 less than what is owed. That way, I still have a lien for 115 instead of 100, and it's a real incentive for them to pay on time. So in this case, I rewrite the note for $100,000, amortized over 30 years, 8% interest. Payments are $733.76 a month. Now, your return is 22%. Well, how are you making 22% if they're only paying 8%? Very simple, because you only have $40,000 invested in the deal. Isn't that sweet? Okay. But watch this. What you could do is season that note for 12 months. Then you could turn around and you could sell it as a reperforming note, and you could double your money on that. Because think about it. What's going to happen is the note that you bought for 40 cents on the dollar, Now that it's reperforming, you can easily sell for 80 cents on the dollar and double your money in 1 year. And then your rate of return jumps to 92%. I know a lot of people that is totally their game plan. That is their business model. So that's another, a really neat thing, because also it's kind of like a ministry to help people who are in default on their note. And at the same time, you're making great profits on the non-performing note. Pretty sweet, isn't it? Okay, so another way that you can make money on non-performing notes is to settle it. And you can settle it for a lump sum of cash now. You could settle it for a lump sum of cash later. You could do a little bit of both. You might make it like a lump sum, or you might make it payments plus a lump sum. I mean, it's whatever you and the homeowner agree to. So you buy the defaulted note from the bank, and then you settle with the homeowner. And what's really cool is you never own the property, okay? So you're going to sit down with the homeowner, and let's say they owe $20,000, and maybe you bought that note for $5,000. You sit down with them and you say, hey, I just want to introduce myself. I bought your note from the bank. Want to see what we can work out. What are you able to do? And maybe they say, well, I've got $10,000 that I've got saved up. I can pay you $10,000. Well, you're going to double your money if you accept that right then and there. Or maybe you say, okay, I'll take the $10,000, but I want you to pay me $200 a month for however long. So because they owe $20,000 and you bought that for $5,000, that gives you $15,000 to play with. And it becomes very, very easy for you to structure a deal that they will be extremely happy with, but will also give you a really, really nice profit for yourself. Okay, so now I'd like to talk about risk versus reward. Okay, a lot of people do not take this into account. And to me, that's a major thing that I look at when I'm buying a note. When you're flipping a note, okay, flipping a note gives you very fast cash, and you have none of your own money invested in it. And it's virtually risk-free. If you perform your deal the way I teach you, so you're not going to buy it until you've already got it sold. So you will not have any of your own money tied up in it, okay? And so that truly is the fastest, easiest, safest way to make money in real estate, is to simply get a note under contract, flip it to somebody else. You never own the property. You don't have any of the headaches. You can make great, great money. However, a lot of times you are giving away the lion's share of the profit. So the question is, do I just want fast cash with no risk at all? Or if I can make more money, is it worth it to take the risk of maybe having some of my own money invested in it, actually taking title of the property, or doing whatever I have to do? And the thing is, only you can decide that. There is no right or wrong answer for that. So I wanted to share with you a deal. This was a friend of mine. His name is Tim. And this is flipping a non-performing note for quick cash. And there are multiple strategies within this particular deal that I want to share with you. What happened was I had received a little spreadsheet of non-performing notes. And whenever I get those, which are few and far between these days, but when I do get them, I always like to look in my neighborhood where I have rental properties to see if there's anything there. And I cherry-picked from this non-performing note and pool, from the non-performing pool. And I found this non-performer. The borrowers had skipped out. I knew this because I could drive by it and see. The house needed a total rehab. And I knew this local rehabber, a friend of mine, Tim, and I knew he would love to have this deal. So I got this $78,000 non-performing note under contract for $18,000. Okay. 23 cents on the dollar. The deals are still out there. Okay. I assigned my contract to Tim for $6,000. okay? And you might think, well, why didn't you assign it to him for more? Because you have to leave some money and, some profit for the person who's going to do all the work. Otherwise, they're not going to buy it from you. So I flipped this note, and just because I found the deal and just for a couple hours of work, I was able to flip this to somebody who really wanted to work the deal. I made $6,000, never owned the property, never talked to the homeowner or anything, just flipped the note to Tim. So Tim bought this $78,000 non-performing note for $18,000 from the bank, the deal that I had arranged with the bank. He paid his assignment fee to me of $6,000. He was going to foreclose, and he estimated the cost to do that to be $4,000. And his rehab he estimated to be $22,000. So his total acquisition rehab cost is $50,000. And he estimated the after repair value to be $85,000. So he's got a profit built into this of $35,000. So he is thrilled. And this is a perfect example of him using a non-performing note as a backdoor to acquiring the property at a huge discount. Okay? If you're a rehabber, how would you like that deal? Now, that's not a deal for me because I am not a rehabber. I am quite happy with my $6,000 for a few hours of work. But if you are a rehabber, then, excuse me, I'm sorry. Friends and family get through even though I silenced the ringer. I'm sorry. But but this is a great deal for Tim because he is a rehabber and he likes to do that, okay? But whereas I don't, I'm real happy with my $6,000. But here's the really cool thing. Tim didn't even use his own money. Think about that. How would you like, let's say you're a rehabber, how would you like to get this deal where you're going to own this rental property, an $85,000 property after repair value, and you get into it for $50,000 and you don't even have your own money invested? That's $50,000 of somebody else's money. This is the kind of stuff we're going to cover at the Academy. It's coming up here in a couple weeks, okay? I use this quite often, and it is the coolest strategy. It is called a collateral assignment, okay? So I had a private investor who was willing to lend Tim $65,000, and he secured it by a collateral assignment of the non-performing note that he's buying. Now, because this was a little bit more risky because the property was trashed and all, he wanted some extra collateral. Sometimes you could, like if it's a performing note, shoot, if it's a performing note, you don't need extra collateral. You can just put the note you're buying up as collateral, okay? But since this really needed a total rehab, the investor wanted extra collateral, which was no problem because Tim has a whole portfolio of free and clear properties. So he gave the investor a first mortgage on another free and clear rental property, okay? Is my investor secure? You betcha. Because now he's got two properties, the one that Tim is rehabbing, as well as a free and clear rental property that's already leased, is income producing, no work to be done on it. That's a nice income producing property. Okay? So this allowed Tim to pull out $15,000 in cash over and above his acquisition and rehab costs. His loan was for $65,000, and it was going to take $50,000 to do this property, and that left him with $15,000. And you know what his first question was when he got that? He said, Donna, didn't you say that you had another non-performing note under contract? He definitely understood leverage, let me tell you, okay? So let's talk about Tim's possible exit strategies. First of all, I put a release clause in the note. And that said that if Tim completes the rehab and he provides an appraisal to show that this property now is worth $85,000, the lender had agreed that the lender would release that additional collateral. So the other property, the income producing property, he would release that and he would just leave his $65,000 loan on the $85,000 property. So now Tim basically is back to where he started from, except he now has an $85,000 property, a fully rehabbed, cash flowing rental property with long-term financing on it. Is that a good deal for him? Wouldn't you like to do that if you were a rehabber? So just by being a little bit creative, and if you have the right documentation, you can do a lot of really cool things. And like I said, this is one of the things that we're going to go over at the upcoming Note Buyers Academy, which is coming up September 19th. I'll tell you about that in a little bit here. I also put a substitution of collateral clause in the note. This is a really powerful clause. And what it does, it says, subject to the lender's approval, Tim can substitute another property of equal or greater value than the rehab property. Okay, so if he finds another deal that he wants to do, then he can move that that mortgage over to the other property. And then, for example, let's say that he decides he's going to sell the rehab that he just did. So all he has to do is provide another property and substitute it, and then he can go ahead and sell that rehab property. Okay, so if you have the right clauses in your note, it gives you a lot of flexibility. And basically, the other thing is it allows Tim to continually reuse the same loan to fund future purchases. Did you get that? So instead of every time you have a deal having to go back to the title company, do a whole new, all new closing costs, all new loan policies and everything, you just keep using the same loan over and over again. And in this case, he had this additional collateral that he was willing to leave in place. And so all he was trying to do was just keep switching out the rehab property that he just did. So it just gives you a tremendous amount of flexibility. So I mentioned I used a collateral assignment agreement. And the way this works, you borrow the money from a private investor, and then you put the note or notes that you're buying up as collateral for your loan. Okay? You don't have to mortgage your house, your kids, or your car. You put the notes that you're buying with their money, you use those notes as collateral for the loan. And the idea is that if you don't pay, then the investor is going to step into your place and he gets the notes. So he'll start collecting on the notes or finish the rehab or whatever is being done. And the advantage to this is that you get all the profit from the deal except for a nominal rate of interest that you pay to the investor. I mean, you could pay the investor 8, 10%, whatever you agreed to. And meanwhile, the investor is very happy because in his case, he put up extra collateral. So it's a super sweet deal for the investor. He's got plenty of collateral. He's very, very happy. And yet Tim is very, very happy because he gets the lion's share of the profit. And so, but do you see, he had to go through all the trouble of doing the rehab, selling it, and all of that. So it depends, and this is where I talk about the risk and the reward. What do you prefer? Do you prefer to make $6,000 for a couple hours of work and just flip the note? Or would you rather make $35,000, but you have to do the rehab and sell the house and all the other things? And only you know the answer to that. But if you have the right tools, it will allow you to accomplish that. The other thing I might mention, a lot of people are on this kick of, I'm going to start a fund. I'm going to get money from investors and start a fund. I would would really think twice before you do that. I mean, there's definitely a time and place for it. And I know lots of people who have great funds and it's really working for them and they're rocking and rolling and investors are happy and everything like that. But for me, I don't want that responsibility. And what works out really well for me is one property and one investor. And I got to tell you, I think that's a better deal for the investor too. Because if you buy into a fund, now you're at the mercy of the fund manager and everybody else that has a stake in that fund. For me, as an investor, I would much rather be the only person to have one mortgage on a nice property that has plenty of equity in it. And if you don't pay, I'm taking that property and I will sell it and get my money back. I might keep it for rental. I'll do whatever I want to with it. But to me, that is a better deal for both parties. So if you're on the fence about starting a fund, consider maybe using the collateral assignment instead. Okie doke. So these are just a few of the many, many examples of some just fabulous opportunities with the non-performing notes. And the fact is that the sky is the limit. You just need to be aware that the non-performing notes are much riskier. You can make a ton of money on them, but I do not recommend them for people who are new to real estate or new to notes, unless you're just flipping the note. That's such a simple deal, anybody can do that. But if you're doing anything beyond flipping a non-performing note, then you need to be able to handle it in case you get the property back. You need to have some cash behind you because things happen with non-performing notes and you might need to step in and pay taxes or do something like that. So just be aware. And my recommendation if you're new in the note industry or in real estate, start out with the performing seller carrybacks. Get accustomed to it. And then if you want to branch out into the non-performing notes, that's a great place to head to. Okay? So I hope this has given you some good ideas. And right now, I would like to tell you about the upcoming Note Buyers Academy because I got a special Labor Day week offer for you. And Matthew's going to switch over here to our website. We'll give him just a second to do that. I hope you're already signed up for the Academy. This is going to be, I think, the best Academy ever. It's like every year it gets better and better and better. I'm particularly excited about this because I have a Note Masters. It's a mastermind group of just a few select people that I've been working with for the past year, and they're all going to be there. And they'll be sharing their deals and some of the things that they've accomplished. I have been doing deals right and left. I've got lots of neat examples to show you. I just want to show you some other strategies rather than just the basics. Don't get me wrong. I am going to teach you the basics as well. But I want to also include a lot of hands-on practice for you. So I'll have some notes that maybe I'll pass out in your table or your team can evaluate together. We'll do some role playing. Andrea Lemons from FNAC is coming, and they're actually sponsoring it, as well as Carl Fisher from Camaplan. He is sponsoring it as well, and they're both going to stay for the whole event. So you'll have plenty of time to rub shoulders with them and ask questions of them and get to know them and everything. It's going to be a great event. It always is, but I just am especially excited about this. So what it is, it starts September 19th on a Thursday morning. It runs from 8:30 Thursday morning until Sunday at 4 o'clock, okay? And so let me show you here. If you go to the website, thenotebuyer.com, and just click on Academy, and you can scroll down there and you can see, here's some pictures of previous academies. It explains that I am going to be teaching for those 4 days, okay? It's not a matter, this is not a dog and pony show of other speakers, okay, to put it bluntly. This is going to be a true learning and training experience. We're going to talk about making quick cash. We're going to talk about how you can build a financial legacy or how you can build a portfolio of properties if that's what you want. And so we cover all kinds of stuff. I'm not even going to go through it all. I invite you to go to the website and you can check out all these things that we're going to learn. Everybody tells me that I have people who come 5 or 6 times, no kidding. And they tell me that every time they come, they learn something new, because I do add a lot of new examples each year, whatever I'm working on at that particular time, and also whatever's new in the marketplace, what's going on then. So if you scroll down here, you can see, one of the things that we do is after learning Monday or Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, on Saturday night, I take you on a riverboat cruise. This is really cool. It's a dinner cruise on, I think we have the Cincinnati River Belle, and it goes upriver for about an hour and a half. We have a really nice surf and turf type dinner, and then we come back down the river, and by the time we get back, it's dark and you see the beautiful skylight of the Cincinnati riverfront and everything. And we have an awesome time. After being in the classroom for 3 days, it's an awesome way to get out, kick back, have fun. It's an awesome way to meet people and network and get to know the other people are there, and it's a wonderful time. A great way to break up the 4 days. And then you're refreshed to finish up the learning experience on Sunday. Now, besides that, you can see, I think if you scroll down here, there's some pictures of the food. We have great food. Everybody raves about the food. I don't like the idea when you go to a seminar and at lunchtime, everybody runs in all different directions trying to find the closest place so they can hurry up and get back in time for the class. And so I pay for all of your food. It is included in your registration, so you won't have any food costs. You need to pay airfare or car fare, and you need to cover your hotel room, and I take care of everything else, okay? So the advantage to this is we go up on the 18th floor of the Radisson. It's the circular hotel, the round hotel. I don't know if you've seen that in Covington. Covington is just across the river from Cincinnati, okay? So we get to look at the Cincinnati riverfront from the Covington side, but we get to go up there and we're in the revolving restaurant, and it's a wonderful opportunity for you to network with the other people who are there. I mean, people tell me they make friends that, are friends for life kind of thing. And you learn, like maybe one person has a great contact for commercial notes and another person has a great contact for mobile homes. And so you get to network, and it's just a great, great experience. So we supply all the food. There we are on the riverboat cruise. You can see us there. It's the Belle of Cincinnati, okay? And by the way, right here are some testimonials of people who have been to the Academy already. So I invite you to go there and check it out. The cost for this is, it's normally $24.97, but we've got our Labor Day special going on. You can save $100 or $500 on that. And you can register for only $1,997. And that is only good through this Sunday night, okay? And then it's going to be full price, baby. So you'll get that. You'll also get the 2018 media set so that you can start brushing up and getting ready for the Academy, okay? If you want to bring your partner, and that would be like your life partner, spouse, or your legitimate business partner, okay, then that's only $600 extra, okay? I do want to remind you, the room block is expiring tomorrow, okay? So if you're not sure if you can go yet, call the Radisson and ask for the original note buyer's room block, because they are almost sold out. So I don't want you to miss out on the savings for the room, and I don't want you to miss out and not get a room at all. So know that you can go ahead and reserve your room, and then you have up to 2 days before the event that you can cancel and you won't be charged. Okay, so if you're thinking about coming, go ahead and make your reservation. Okay, I hope you can make it. This is just going to be a great event. And if people say, well, who should come? Anybody who is serious about doing notes. I had one fella and he was saying, I got so much going on. And he'd already told me that he was very serious, that he wanted to get out of doing the properties and he wanted to do notes. And yet he wasn't going to take the time out to come to the academy. And I said, this is an opportunity. You're wanting out of what you're doing. And here you have 4 days of me teaching, a great time, great learning. And my goodness, you're not even taking advantage of it. He signed up, needless to say. So whether you're in a bad spot right now and you need extra money now, or whether you're concerned about your future and you're wanting to build retirement, or you want to build a financial legacy for yourself or for your kids, or you want to build a portfolio of properties, you can do all these things with notes. And I can't wait to share the strategies with you. The bottom line is, if money can fix it, then your prayers have been answered, because I'm going to show you how you can make money quickly and safely and easily, because this is the fastest, easiest, safest way that I know of to make money. And I've been doing this for 30 years. I've done every aspect of real estate investing you can imagine. I've done it all. And there isn't a better way. So if you're ready to seriously make a change in your financial situation, whether it's right now or whether it's for the future, then clear your schedule and make a way to come, okay? I hope to see you then. So just go to thenotebuyer.com, click on Academy, and you'll see there's plenty of banners there where you can click and get the Labor Day special. Okay, Matthew, do we have any questions for me tonight?
No questions have come up.
Okay. Well, I must have done a good job of explaining that. Okay. If anybody does have any questions, whether it's about the non-performing notes or whether it's about the Academy, please email me at donna@thenotebuyer.com, and I'll be happy to get back to you. And I sincerely hope that you can make it to the Academy. So thanks so much and happy investing. Good night.